Michelle. I wanted to talk to you today about 5 things that I think that you should stop doing to your children's hair. Now, you have to understand that this is my opinion. It is based on my experience with healthy hair. The first thing that I wanted to really talk about is relaxing your child's hair. A lot of people tell me that they do this because it is easier to manage when it's relaxed, or it's easier to manage when it's texlaxed. We now know that relaxing too early can lead to scalp problems, not just when they're young, but in the future. And we also know that it's often not the best for the health of the hair. The second thing that I want to talk about is putting beads at the ends of your child's hair. Now, I know that a lot of people think that they look cute, think that they add versatility to the hair strands, but you can imagine some of these beads or accessories. So the issue with beads sometimes is that, remember that the ends of the hair is the oldest part of the hair, and so it's also the weakest part of the hair. What we don't want is tension on the ends of the hair. So your beads can add more tension to the ends of the hair and can compromise those ends which are already weak. My preference is for you to learn not to put any beads at the ends of the hair. And if you're going to do so, you put 1 or you put 2. But when you start putting so much that you can hear the jiggle jaggles when the child is walking, that is just too much. It's too much stress, it's too much pulling down, and it's too much friction on the ends of the hair. The other thing that I really detest seeing is hairbands. And again, it's very similar. It causes too much tension. And you can imagine, I understand why some of you use hairbands. You use it to keep styles in place. But something like this, when you put it at the base of the hair, it's either going to be too tight, or it's going to wrap on other strands of hair, which then means that it's impossible to take out carefully, unless of course you cut it off. And if you're cutting off 1 or 2, that's okay. But if you need to cut off 10 or 15, it's unlikely that you're not going to cut off some parts of the hair along with it as well. The third thing that I want you to reconsider doing is installing inappropriate braids or cornrows for your children's hair. Often I see elaborate braids or cornrows on children's hair. I understand again that some of this is done so that the hair is in a neat state and that the child can carry the hairstyle for a long period of time. But that often causes damage over a long period of time. As you can imagine, with healthy hair, we always preach about low manipulation hairstyles. Now, when you put the hair in really small braids or really small cornrows, it's impossible for low manipulation to be going on. It's always quite intricate, it's always quite fine, there's always a bit too much tension, and sometimes a lot of you actually add too much extra hair to the actual child's hair, which causes damage overall. There's another thing that's then linked to that, is that when these hairstyles are installed, we then don't wash the hair or wash the scalp as frequently as we need to, and that can pose another problem as well. What we then get as a consequence is hair thinning, sometimes hair breaking, and unfortunately, I am seeing more and more children with little or thinning edges, and that is as a result of these complicated braids and complicated cornrows. So that is something that I also want you to reconsider doing. The other thing that I want you to reconsider doing is actually leaving the braids in for months on end. I recently heard about a lady who left her child's braids in for 6 months. That is in no way or shape or form acceptable for healthy hair. If you want your child's hair to be healthy, that is the last thing that you should be doing. If you install your child's hair in braids, please take it out after 4 weeks. At the most 6 weeks, and I say 6 weeks if you can wash your child's scalp. But if you have the sort of hair, or if your child has the sort of hair, and the scalp can't be washed frequently because it would lead to the hair matting, then you cannot leave the braids on for 3 months, 6 months, 5 months on end. You have to make sure that on that 4-week mark that you take the braids out. In that way, you can ensure that you're not leaving the scalp for a long period of time without actually washing the hair. The last thing that I want you to stop doing is using inappropriate tools. So some of you are using the wrong type of combs. Some of you are not using combs that are wide enough. Your children's hair is being pulled because the combs are probably inappropriate. Sometimes some of you are using brushes when actually your child's hair might not be compatible with using a brush. And I say that because I am one of those people that can't use any type of brush, you know. So people have recommended amazing brushes for me in the past, but it's just not suitable for my hair, and I know that, and I've learned that now. And some of you, it's the same with your children. Find the right tools. So I've got a tool here, but there are many others. This type of comb has enough space in between so as not to snag, so as not to catch on your child's hair. It's also a wooden comb, so there's no ridges in between the comb, and so it can glide through. Also, some brushes work really well. It just depends on the type of hair. So find your right tools that can actually help with managing your child's hair. What you don't want is your child screaming, crying because you're using the wrong tools or you're using the wrong techniques to manage their hair on wash day, for example.